I think the boulevard was Whittier Boulevard. I'm talking about was important because it was in the heart of, I guess, East LA and the LA. There was a lot of Hispanics there at the time. I think what really made it popular was the Ruben Salazar killing at the Silver Dollar, and the moratorium, back then, back when everybody was fighting for civil rights and stuff like that. So it was always like a center area, the Whittier Boulevard, and we went there because we had nowhere to go. We couldn't go anywhere else. That was most people. We didn't have the money to go to Disneyland or all these other places, so that was our Disneyland was the Boulevard.
Describe the scene back then in the '70s, because that was a pretty good time for lowriding too, and it was the Boulevard was pretty packed. I wasn't alive yet.
Yeah.
I was born in '81, but I've seen pictures and stuff like that. Do you have memories of?
Oh man,
Tell me about it.
I got memories. Yeah.
What would you see?
I think back in the early '70s. I think it depends on who you speak to. When they were born. Some people say the '80s. The early '80s. Some people say the '90s. But to me, the '70s, it was the ultimate. There was nothing like it. Like I said, that's when the civil rights was getting started. Ruben Salazar had just died. We were getting more connected with each other than before. That's when Chicanos really starts really just, I guess, retaliating. A lot. And the '70s, when the Boulevard started, like I said, that was our hangout. That's where all the cars came out. And a lot of times, I think people get confused when they say lowriders. They figure, you have to have a car to be a lowrider. To me, that's not true. That's not true because we didn't have cars. Not all of us had money. Only so many people had cars. And we would have one friend would have a car. We would all help him clean the rims, clean the car, put a stereo system in there. We'd all help this one guy who had a car, and he would take us. And, you were a lowrider. We were with him all the time, Even though we didn't have a car, I was one, I was one. So, it wasn't always about you had to have a car because not everybody had one. And that's when I think a lot of people had older cars back then. Because older cars, nobody wanted them. Everybody wanted the new cars. So old cars, you could get an old car for like $300, a real clean old car. And we would just modify them a little, put rims, lower them down. And then it started getting, it progressed into the fancy paints, the candies and the flakes. A lot of that came from, I guess, I don't know where it originates from, but that I remember, it came from the hot rod scene. From the custom funny cars, dragsters, and stuff like that, and then it started going to the lowrider thing, and it started. I think the first car I ever seen that really was ahead of its time back then was the Gypsy Rose, and that's why it is the most famous car there is. Not only because of the way it was designed, but I think it was the commercial. We were never on TV or magazines before, And when it came on Chico and the Man, we're on TV. It was like that car was representing us, all of us.